What if I told you that being, incredibly efficient, like checking off every single box on your daily to-do list and climbing that corporate ladder at breakneck speed might actually be the exact thing ruining your life?
I mean, it sounds completely counterintuitive.
Totally. But most of us are just sprinting to the top, absolutely exhausted, only to realize the ladder we've been climbing is leaning against the completely wrong wall.
Yeah, we see it all the time.
So today, we are tearing down that illusion of life hacks. We're dismantling the idea that a new morning routine or a clever networking script is going to magically fix everything.
It is a harsh realization, but a necessary one, I think.
Yeah.
We live in an era that is just obsessed with surface-level fixes.
Right.
We all want the shortcut. But human behavior and long-term sustainable effectiveness, whether that's in a marriage or raising a family or running a business, it just defies shortcuts.
It really does.
The quick hacks always stop working the exact moment real structural stress hits.
Exactly. And that is why we are here today. Welcome to the Deep Dive. If you are listening to this, you are someone who is hungry for those visceral aha moments. You want to cut through the noise, skip the endless information overload, and figure out what actually works beneath the surface.
Yeah, let's get into it.
Today, our mission is to explore a comprehensive summary of Stephen R. Covey's absolute timeless classic, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Such a foundational text.
It really is. And we are drawing on a really detailed, phenomenal breakdown from the YouTube channel Bookverse. And the goal here is to discover why some people just seem completely unstoppable, while others struggle for years and, well, stay entirely stuck.
And here's a little hint for you right out of the gate. It is not about luck.
No.
It's not about your natural talent, and it's not even about your raw intelligence. It is entirely 100% about your habits.
Okay, let's unpack this, because the source introduces a massive, fundamental divide right at the beginning of this framework.
Right, the two ethics.
Yeah, it's this concept of the personality ethic versus the character ethic. And the analogy used to describe this is just brilliant.
It's the flower analogy.
Yes. Think about most modern self-help. The quick influence tricks, the advice on how to hold your body in a meeting, how to force a smile to win someone over.
Just surface stuff.
Exactly. The text says that is like a flower without roots. You clip it, you put it in a beautiful crystal vase, and it looks absolutely stunning for a day or two.
But then it dies.
Right. It dies quickly because there's nothing sustaining it beneath the surface.
What's fascinating here is the historical context behind that shift. For the last century or so, specifically following World War I, our culture became utterly obsessed with that personality ethic.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah, it became all about the image, the personal PR, the surface-level techniques, like how do I appear successful? How do I manipulate the situation to get what I want?
Just exhausting.
Completely exhausting. But the character ethic, which is what these 7 habits are built upon, is fundamentally different. It is about deep-rooted, timeless principles.
So we're talking about things like honesty, fairness, integrity.
Exactly. These aren't life hacks. These are the deep subterranean roots that allow a tree to weather an absolute hurricane. The character ethic dictates that real success isn't something you chase down like an animal. It's something you attract by the kind of person you become.
I love that. You attract it by who you become. You don't hunt success. You cultivate an environment where it naturally grows.
Right.
But to get us to that point, to actually become that person, there is a very specific roadmap laid out here.
Yes. It's called the maturity continuum. It's a 3-stage journey that every single human being has to take if they want to reach their full potential.
Okay, what's stage 1?
Stage 1 is dependence. This is where we all start out literally as infants, but many adults never leave this stage psychologically.
Wait, really? Adults stay there?
Oh, absolutely. Independence, the paradigm is you, as in you take care of me. You are to blame if things go wrong. If I fail, it's my boss's fault or the economy's fault.
Oh, I see. It's the ultimate victim mindset.
Precisely. You're just reacting.
Yeah.
So stage 2 is independence. This is where you master yourself.
Okay, so the paradigm shifts.
Right. It shifts from you to I. I am responsible. I can choose. It's what is referred to as the private victory.
Got it.
But it doesn't stop there, which is where a lot of modern self-help actually goes wrong. The ultimate goal is stage 3, interdependence.
Which is what?
The paradigm of we. We can cooperate. We can combine our talents to create something greater together.
Yeah.
This is the public victory, where you are strong enough on your own to work powerfully with others.
Okay, so this deep dive is going to serve as your personal roadmap through those exact stages. But listen, before you can go anywhere, before you can even think about working with other people or building a legacy, you have to get into the driver's seat of your own life.
You have to take the wheel.
Exactly. You have to break out of that dependent victim mindset. And that logically brings us to the foundation of it all. Habit 1, be proactive.
This is the habit of fundamental choice. Being proactive means your life is your choice, period.
Not your circumstance.
Right. It is not dictated by your boss. It's not dictated by your parents' mistakes. It's not dictated by the state of the economy, and certainly not dictated by the weather outside. You are in control of your response to all of those things.
But the messy reality is, most of us do not live that way at all. We default to being reactive.
We do.
The text contrasts reactive people with proactive people brilliantly. Reactive people are entirely driven by their moods and their circumstances.
Like leaves blown in the wind.
Yes, exactly. If the weather is good, they feel good. Oh, the sun is shining. I'm going to have a great day at work.
But if it's raining?
Right. If it's raining, they feel terrible. They treat people poorly, and they literally blame the weather. But proactive people act on their internal values. They are steady, like solid rocks in a storm. If it's raining, a proactive person brings their own weather.
To really grasp the mechanics of this, we have to look closely at human psychology, specifically the space between what happens to you, the stimulus, and how you respond to it.
Okay.
Reactive people literally believe there is no space. Something bad happens, and they instantly react with anger or despair or lashing out. They're essentially biological robots running a script.
Wow, biological robots. That's a strong image.
But it's true. Proactive people, though, recognize that in between stimulus and response, there's a pause, a fraction of a second. And in that pause lies your ultimate human freedom, which is the power to choose your response.
I want to really dig into this because the historical example used in the source to illustrate this is staggering. He talks about Viktor Frankl.
Yes, his story is incredible.
Frankl was a prominent Jewish psychiatrist in Vienna, and during the Holocaust, he was sent to a Nazi concentration camp.
Just unimaginable horror.
Right. He was stripped of his identity, he lost his family, his freedom, and was subjected to just horrific physical and psychological suffering. He had absolutely zero control over his external environment.
None. The guards controlled everything.
They controlled what he ate, when he slept, whether he lived or died. But in the midst of that absolute darkness, Frankl realized something profound. He realized that his captors could control his entire physical reality, but they could not control his inner world.
That realization it changes everything.
He discovered that the last of the human freedoms is the ability to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances.
It is a deeply humbling realization. Frankl used that tiny space between stimulus and response to envision himself lecturing to his students after the war, teaching them about the psychological lessons he was learning inside the camp.
Which is mind-blowing.
He exercised that tiny embryonic freedom until it grew larger than his captor's freedom. If Viktor Frankl could find that space in a death camp, if he could choose his attitude under those conditions, then the excuses you and I make in our daily lives, like getting furious because we're stuck in traffic.
Or letting a rude email ruin our weekend.
Exactly. Those excuses completely evaporate. We always have a choice in how we respond.
I want to try putting this into a different perspective for you listening. Based on the text, it sounds like the difference between being a thermometer and a thermostat.
Oh, that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, think about it. A thermometer just passively reacts to the room's temperature. If the room is hot, the mercury rises. If the room is cold, the mercury drops. It has no agency. A reactive person is a thermometer.
Right.
But a thermostat has a system inside itself to regulate and influence the room. It reads the temperature, sure, but then it kicks on the AC, or the heat, based on its own internal programming. It actually changes the environment.
That is a perfect analogy. The proactive person has internal programming their values that dictates their actions, regardless of the external temperature.
But let me push back on this a little bit. I want to play devil's advocate because this is where I think a lot of people get stuck.
Sure, go ahead.
What about massive systemic things we literally cannot control? Like, what about a global recession that wipes out your industry?
Okay.
You can't just thermostat your way out of a macroeconomic collapse. It feels almost toxic to tell someone who just lost their life savings, hey, just bring your own weather.
That is an incredibly important pushback, and the framework doesn't ignore that reality. It addresses it directly by introducing one of its most practical tools, the circle of concern versus the circle of influence.
Okay, break that down for us.
I want you to imagine two concentric circles. The massive outer ring is your circle of concern. This holds everything you care about or worry about, but that you have absolutely zero direct control over.
So politics, the global economy.
Exactly. The threat of war, the weather, and yes, what other people think of you. Now, the smaller inner ring is your circle of influence. This contains only the things you have direct, actionable control over.
Like your daily habits.
Right. Your habits, the words you use, your attitude, your diet, your immediate decisions.
Okay, so how does a proactive person handle that recession compared to a reactive person using those circles?
Well, the source illustrates this brilliantly. Think about two workers who both lose their jobs at the exact same company on the exact same day due to a massive economic downturn.
Same stimulus.
Same stimulus. Now, the reactive worker focuses his entire emotional and mental energy on the outer circle of concern. He complains endlessly about the greedy CEO. He rants on social media about the terrible economy. He tells everyone his life is doomed.
He is pouring all his energy into things he literally cannot change.
And psychologically, when you do that, your inner circle of influence actually shrinks. You feel helpless. You become completely paralyzed.
Right. He's just a leaf in the wind. He's waiting for the economy to fix his life.
Exactly. But the proactive worker feels the exact same sting of losing the job. But he focuses entirely on his inner circle of influence. He says, look, I can't change the CEO's decision, and I can't fix the global economy.
But what can I control right this second?
Precisely. He can update his resume, he can reach out to his network, he can spend 2 hours a day learning a new software skill, he can control his attitude when he speaks to his family.
And what happens then?
By pouring his energy into what he can actually control, his circle of influence expands. He creates new opportunities. He stops being a victim and becomes a creator.
So we want to issue a direct challenge to you right now as you're listening to this. Think of one specific problem that is really bothering you today.
Something actively causing stress.
Yeah. Now, categorize it. Is it in your circle of concern or your circle of influence? Be honest with yourself. If it's something you literally cannot control, like your mother-in-law's opinion of you or a shift in the stock market, you have to practice the radical discipline of letting it go.
It's hard, but necessary.
But if there's even a tiny sliver of that problem that falls into your circle of influence, that is where you must direct 100% of your action today.
That conscious shift in focus is what breaks the chains of dependence. It moves you from passenger to driver.
Which logically means once you are the driver, you have a new, terrifying problem. Being in the driver's seat is completely useless, even dangerous if you don't know where you're driving.
You can drive 100 miles an hour right off a cliff.
Exactly. So once you have the wheel, you desperately need a destination. And that is exactly what Habit 2 addresses. Begin with the end in mind.
Right.
And to teach this, the framework uses a visualization that is genuinely visceral. It really shakes you awake.
It is a very striking psychological exercise. It forces you out of the minutia of your daily emails and forces you to look at the macro sum of your existence.
I want you to actually imagine this right now. You are walking into a large, quiet hall. You see rows of chairs, soft music is playing. You walk down the center aisle toward the front, and there is a casket.
Heavy stuff.
You look inside and you realize it's you. This is your funeral. You look out at the seats and you see your family, your closest friends, your coworkers. They are all going to stand up one by one and speak about your life.
What do you want them to say?
Exactly. What kind of spouse do you want them to describe? What kind of leader, what kind of person do you want to be remembered as?
It's intense, but it forces you to confront the ultimate reality of your life. The core philosophy here is a principle that gets repeated often. Everything in the world is created twice.
Twice.
Yes. First, there's a mental creation. Think of the blueprint in the mind of an architect. Before a single shovel hits the dirt, every window, every door, every load-bearing wall is mapped out.
Okay, that makes sense.
Second, there is the physical creation, the actual swinging of hammers and building of the house.
Okay.
If you don't take the time to intentionally design the blueprint of your own life, that first creation, you're going to end up living by default.
And living by default means what?
It means you will build a life using a blueprint handed to you by society or by your parents' expectations or by marketing algorithms.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, this is about avoiding the ultimate modern tragedy. The source warns us about the tragedy of spending your entire life working incredibly hard, sweating, bleeding, climbing the ladder of success, rung by rung.
Only to get to the very top, look around, and realize the ladder was leaning against the wrong wall.
Man, that is a gut punch.
That is the profound danger of efficiency without effectiveness. We're obsessed with efficiency. How fast can I answer these emails? How quickly can I get this promotion?
Right.
You can be highly efficient at checking off tasks and accumulating wealth. But if those achievements don't align with what you actually want your loved ones to say at your funeral, you've succeeded at the wrong things. You build a magnificent house, but it's not the house you actually want to live in.
So how do we fix the blueprint? How do we make absolutely sure the ladder is leaning against the right wall before we start climbing?
Well, the actionable tool provided here is writing a personal mission statement.
A mission statement for your life.
Yes. And a crucial point is made here. This cannot be based on your feelings. Feelings are terrible compasses. They change every single day based on what you ate for breakfast or how well you slept.
One day you feel motivated, the next day you feel cynical.
Exactly. Your mission statement has to be built on those timeless principles we talked about earlier.
The text breaks the creation of this mission statement down to 3 very practical steps.
Right, it does. Step 1 is picture your roles. You aren't just one monolithic thing. You are a constellation of roles.
Yeah.
You might be a parent, a spouse, a middle manager, an artist, a community volunteer.
Okay, step 2.
For each of those specific roles, ask yourself what legacy you want to leave. What is your ultimate principal goal in your role as a parent? Is it to raise children who are obedient or children who are independent thinkers?
That's a big distinction.
Very big. What is your ultimate goal as a leader at work? Then step 3, write it down in simple, truthful words. It doesn't need to sound like a corporate PR release.
Just true to you.
Right, like in my role as a father, I will prioritize patience over efficiency. Or in my career, I will act with absolute integrity, even when it costs me financially.
And once you have that document, you suddenly have an internal compass. It makes it incredibly easy to know what to say yes to and what to say no to in your daily life.
Because the blueprint decides.
Exactly. If a massive new career opportunity comes up that requires you to travel 80% of the year, you don't just look at the money. You hold it up against your mission statement.
And if it pulls you away from being an actively present parent, which you wrote down as your core role,
then it becomes a hard, confident no matter how shiny it looks. You are no longer agonizing over decisions.
But here is where reality hits hard. Having a vision is only the mental creation. An architectural blueprint sitting elegantly on a drafting table doesn't shelter you from the rain.
No, it doesn't.
Eventually, you have to pick up the heavy tools, mix the concrete, and do the actual daily work of building.
And that transition from the blueprint to the bricks is exactly where habit 3 comes in. But first things first. If habit 2 is the vision, habit 3 is the execution.
It's the daily discipline.
Right. It's about how you manage yourself in time every single day to build that house. The core radical theme here is a complete mindset shift regarding time management. Don't prioritize what's on your schedule. Instead, schedule your priorities.
It sounds like a subtle difference, but it fundamentally changes how you operate.
So how do we practically do this?
The Source introduces one of the most famous tools in behavioral psychology, the time management matrix. It divides literally everything we do in a day into 4 quadrants based on 2 distinct factors: urgency and importance.
Urgency and importance.
Urgency means it requires immediate attention. It's at your face. Importance has to do with results. If something is important, it contributes to your mission statement, your values, your high priority goals.
We really need to break these 4 quadrants down in extensive detail because this is where most people's lives are either won or lost. Let's start with quadrant 1, urgent and important.
Quadrant 1 is the quadrant of crises. These are things that are blowing up in your face right now, and they matter.
Like a server crashing at work.
Yes. Or your child breaks their arm on the playground. You have a massive project deadline in 2 hours that will determine if you keep your job.
Yeah.
You cannot ignore these things. You have to handle them.
Of course.
But here is the danger. If you live your entire life in quadrant 1, constantly putting out fires, reacting to one crisis after another, the inevitable result is massive stress, chronic anxiety, and complete burnout.
You are surviving, not thriving.
Exactly.
Okay, then we have quadrant 3. And this is sneaky. Quadrant 3 is urgent, but not important. This is the quadrant of deception.
Deception is the perfect word. These are the things that feel like they need your immediate attention right this second, but they do not actually align with your personal mission statement or your long-term goals.
So like phone notifications.
Yes. The constant pinging of notifications, most emails. The coworker who walks into your office unannounced, wanting to vent for 45 minutes.
I hate that.
Because these things are urgent, they give you a false sense of productivity. You spend all day checking off 50 minor emails, and your brain gets a hit of dopamine. It feels productive, but you aren't actually adding real value to your life.
You were just serving other people's urgencies and priorities.
Precisely.
And then there's quadrant 4, not urgent and not important. This is pure, unadulterated escape.
Well,
Mindless scrolling on social media for 3 hours, binge watching reality TV until 2 a.m., gossiping by the water cooler.
right. And what's truly fascinating here is the psychological link between these quadrants.
Oh, whoa. How so?
Well, reactive people spend all their time getting beaten up in quadrant 1, dealing with endless crises, and getting distracted by quadrant 3. They get so physically and emotionally exhausted by the fires and the interruptions that, to cope, they escape into the numbing behavior of quadrant 4.
Wow, so they bounce between high adrenaline stress and mindless escape.
Yes, that is the cycle of a highly ineffective person.
Okay, so if Q1 burns us out, Q3 deceives us, and Q4 numbs us, where are we supposed to live?
Quadrant 2, not urgent, but important. This is the magic quadrant. This is the heart of effective personal management. This is where proactive people live.
Unpack quadrant 2 for me, because it's the stuff that never screams at you, right? It's exercising, long-term strategic planning, building a deep relationship with your spouse. Nobody forces you to do it today.
Exactly. There's no immediate crisis if you don't go to the gym this afternoon. Nobody is going to yell at you if you don't read a book on leadership tonight. But the profound irony is, by living in quadrant 2, you are proactively preventing the crises of quadrant 1 from ever happening in the first place.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
If you spend time exercising and eating right, which is Q2, you prevent the sudden health crisis, which is a massive Q1 event. If you spend time planning your project early and communicating clearly with your team, Q2, you prevent the midnight deadline panic of Q1. Quadrant 2 actually shrinks quadrant 1.
To make sure we actually execute those quadrant 2 activities, I excitedly want to share the big rocks analogy from the text. Absolutely love this one.
It's a classic.
Imagine you have an empty glass jar sitting on a table, and you have to fit in 3 things: a pile of big rocks, a pile of pebbles, and a large pile of sand. The sand represents your quadrant 3 and 4 activities, the endless emails, the scrolling, the trivial daily stuff. The pebbles are your daily tasks and minor responsibilities. The big rocks are your quadrant 2 priorities, and your physical health, your family, your major life goals, your mission statement.
The really important stuff.
Right. Now, if you pour the sand into the jar first, meaning if you fill your morning with checking emails, scrolling news, and reacting to minor things, there is absolutely no room left for the big rocks. They just won't fit.
You'll say, I just don't have time to exercise or plan.
Exactly. But you must put the big rocks in the jar first. Schedule your exercise first. Schedule your family dinner first. Block out 2 hours for deep, strategic work first. Once the big rocks are in the jar, you pour the pebbles in around them. And finally, the sand, the minor stuff, just fills in the remaining gaps.
But doing that requires immense emotional discipline. You have to have the courage to pleasantly but firmly say no to the sand, to the urgent but unimportant demands of other people, so you have room for the rocks. You have to be driven by your inner compass, not the external clock.
Here's where it gets really interesting, you know. Once you master these 3 habits, habit 1, you take the wheel and take responsibility. Habit 2, you define your vision and your mission. Habit 3, you have the discipline to execute that vision daily. When you lock those 3 together, you achieve the private victory.
The private victory is the culmination of independence. It means you are no longer dependent. You no longer rely on luck or the economy or the validation of other people to make you secure or happy.
You've won the battle inside.
Yes. You can manage your own choices, and most importantly, you can make and keep promises to yourself. And the text is brutally explicit about this sequencing. You absolutely must win the battle inside before you can ever hope to win outside.
Private victories must precede public victory.
Exactly. You cannot lead a team, you cannot fix a broken marriage, you cannot build a healthy community if you cannot even lead yourself. Algebra comes before calculus. Independence comes before interdependence.
Which brings us to the massive turning point of this entire framework. You've achieved your private victory. You are strong, independent, you have an internal compass, and you are secure. Now, and only now, you are ready to step outward and engage with the rest of the world.
This begins the journey to interdependence and the public victory.
We are moving into habit 4, think win-win.
To successfully step into interdependence, we have to undergo a massive foundational mindset shift. We have to move from what is called a scarcity mentality to an abundance mentality.
Explain that difference deeply, because I think a lot of people operate in scarcity without even realizing it. It's totally baked into our culture.
Oh, it is entirely baked into our culture. The scarcity mentality is the deep-seated belief that life is a zero-sum game.
Meaning?
It's the belief that there is only one pie, and if you get a bigger slice of that pie, it automatically, mathematically means I get a smaller slice. It frames all of life, business, relationships, academics, even friendships, as a brutal competition.
If you succeed, it diminishes me.
Right. The abundance mentality, on the other hand, is the paradigm of the private victory. It's the realization that there is plenty for everyone. It's the belief that by working together, we aren't just dividing a fixed static pie, we are actually baking new, exponentially larger pies.
Shared ideas don't divide, they multiply.
Exactly.
The text breaks down 6 different interaction paradigms based on these mentalities. Let's run through them so people can kind of diagnose themselves.
Good idea.
There's win-lose, which is the ultimate scarcity mindset. I'm going to step on you to get ahead. It's very authoritarian. Yep. Then there's lose-win, where you let people walk all over you just to keep the peace. You are the eternal peacekeeper, just burying your own feelings.
Which is very damaging.
Right. Then there's lose-lose, which is what happens when 2 stubborn, highly ego-driven win-lose people fight each other to the death. They'd rather both burn down the building than let the other guy win.
We see that in lawsuits all the time.
Oh, absolutely. Then there's just win, where you don't even care what happens to the other person, good or bad, as long as you get yours.
And then there's the ideal win-win,
where you actively seek a mutual solution that genuinely benefits both parties. And finally, win-win or no deal, which means if we can't find a solution that helps us both, we have the emotional maturity and strength to just walk away amicably without resentment.
That no-deal option is so powerful.
But let me raise a major question here for you listening, because this is the first thing that always comes to my mind, and frankly, I struggle with it.
Let's hear it.
I hear win-win, and my cynical brain says, isn't that just a corporate buzzword for being nice? Or worse, in the real world, say, a hyper-competitive corporate sales environment or a brutal negotiation. Isn't win-win just a fast track to being a pushover and getting eaten alive by a win-lose boss?
That is such a common fear.
Like, how do you practically apply consideration to someone who is actively trying to steal your commission?
It is a vital distinction to make. Win-win is not about just being nice, and it certainly isn't a technique for being a pushover. True win-win requires a high degree of both courage and consideration.
Courage and consideration, break that matrix down. How do those balance out in a real conflict?
Think of it as a grid. Courage is your ability and willingness to stand up for your own needs, your own vision, and your own boundaries. Consideration is your ability to deeply empathize and care about the other person's needs and viewpoint.
Okay, so if I have courage but no consideration.
If you have extremely high courage but zero consideration, you're operating in win-lose. You're a bully. You bulldoze people.
And the opposite.
If you have incredibly high consideration but zero courage, you are operating in lose-win. You are a martyr, sacrificing yourself to please others. Win-win is the sweet spot at the absolute top right of the grid.
So you have both.
Yes. It says, I care deeply and genuinely about your success, but I also have the absolute courage to demand my own.
So in that cutthroat sales environment, what does that look like?
A win-win person doesn't let their commission get stolen. They have the courage to confront the behavior, but the consideration to try and understand the underlying pressure causing the boss to act that way. They seek a systemic solution that helps the whole team hit quota without cannibalizing each other.
And if they can't?
If they can't, they utilize no deal and walk away from a toxic culture.
So here is your challenge for this week. Look at one specific relationship in your life right now that is experiencing friction. Maybe it's a tense dynamic with a coworker over resources, or a constant argument with your spouse about chores. Ask yourself, how can I shift this to a win-win?
Build trust instead of fighting over the pie.
Exactly. How can you stop trying to win the argument and start building trust?
But to actually execute a win-win deal, you run into a very real mechanical problem.
What's that?
You cannot possibly achieve a win-win if you don't actually know what a win looks like for the other person. You can't give them what they need if you don't know what they need.
Oh, exactly. And that requires a radical, uncomfortable shift in how we communicate, which leads us directly into habit 5, seek first to understand, then to be understood.
The text identifies the single biggest communication mistake that almost every human being makes, often unconsciously. We listen with the intent to reply, rather than the intent to understand.
We've all been there. You are sitting across from someone, they are talking, and you aren't really hearing their pain or their perspective. You are just waiting for them to take a breath so you can jump in.
Formulating your brilliant advice.
Or thinking of your own story that is somewhat related so you can turn the spotlight back to yourself.
The source talks about the lower levels of listening to illustrate this.
Right. There's ignoring, where you're literally just checking your phone while your kid talks to you.
We're all guilty of that.
There's pretending, where you're just nodding, maintaining eye contact, and saying, while thinking about lunch.
Yep.
There's selective listening, where you only hear the parts of the conversation that affect you directly. And there's attentive listening, where you actually hear all the words, but you are still analyzing them through your own biased lens, preparing your counter-argument.
But what is being asked for here is a massive leap to the highest level, empathic listening.
Empathic listening, what does that actually look like?
Empathic listening is a full-body exercise. It means listening with your ears to the words, your eyes to the body language, and your heart to the underlying emotion.
Getting inside their frame of reference.
Exactly. You are trying to genuinely feel what they feel and see the world through their specific paradigm, without judging it, without agreeing or disagreeing, just deeply understanding it.
The examples used really bring the absurdity of how we normally communicate to life. Think about going to a doctor. Imagine walking into an optometrist's office. You say, "My vision is blurry, I can't see."
Okay.
Before you can say another word or take an eye exam, the doctor takes off his own glasses, hands them to you, and says, "Here, put these on. I've been wearing them for 10 years and they work great for me."
Oh, that's terrible.
Right. You put them on and it makes your vision worse. You tell the doctor this is terrible, and the doctor gets offended and says, "Well, I tried to help you. You're just ungrateful."
You would run out of that office.
You would never trust a professional who prescribes a solution without diagnosing the problem first. Yet, we do this in our closest relationships constantly.
We really do.
We throw out advice prescriptions before we have done the hard, empathetic work of diagnosing the other person's reality.
There was another deeply poignant example in the text about a father complaining that his teenage son won't listen to him. The father is distraught and says, "I don't understand him at all. He just won't listen to me."
Wait, read that back again.
Right. The staggering logical paradox. Wait, let me get this straight. You don't understand him because he won't listen to you. I thought to understand another person, you need to listen to them.
Wow.
The father is stunned and eventually admits he only ever listens to his son in order to correct him, judge him, or evaluate him based on the father's own autobiography.
So what does this all mean for us functionally? Why is this deep empathic understanding so powerful? Why does it change the dynamic?
Because psychological survival is a basic human need, just like physical survival. Understanding is quite literally like oxygen to the human soul.
Like oxygen.
When people don't feel understood, when they feel judged or dismissed, they are gasping for air. They become defensive, they close off, they lash out because they are fighting for their psychological survival.
If I'm sucking all the oxygen out of the room, you aren't going to care about my advice. You just want to breathe.
Exactly. But the moment you truly listen to someone without judgment, the moment you accurately reflect back their feelings and they feel completely understood, it's like pumping pure oxygen into the room.
They stop fighting.
They drop their defenses, they relax, they feel safe, and only then, once their psychological need for understanding is met, do they open their minds to your influence. You absolutely must earn the right to be understood by understanding them first.
Okay, here is an incredible, actionable challenge for you listening. In your next difficult conversation, whether it's with an angry client, a frustrated partner, or a teenager, I dare you to try this.
It works so well.
Before you offer one single piece of advice, before you defend yourself or share your side of the story, just reflect back what the other person is feeling and meaning. Say, "It sounds like you are feeling really overwhelmed and frustrated because," and keep doing that.
Summarize their pain.
Summarize it until they literally say to you, "Yes, exactly. You understand me." Watch what happens to the physical energy in the room. The tension literally drops. It's like magic.
And that magic, that reduction in tension and building of deep trust, is the absolute prerequisite for the next stage. Because when you have the genuine win-win motive of habit 4, and you have the deep empathic understanding of habit 5, you finally have the raw ingredients required to combine your differences and create something entirely new.
Which brings us to the pinnacle of the public victory. Habit 6, Synergize. This is creative cooperation. The text defines synergy with a very simple but mathematically impossible sounding equation. 1 + 1 = 3.
Or 10, or 100.
Yeah.
It means the whole is vastly, exponentially greater than the sum of its parts. But we have to be very careful here to distinguish true synergy from mere compromise.
People often confuse the two.
All the time.
Right, let's clarify that. If you want to paint the office blue and I want to paint the office yellow, a compromise is we mix the paint together and paint the office a hideous shade of green that neither of us actually likes.
Right.
We both gave something up. We met in the middle, so no one is happy. In a compromise, 1 + 1 = 1.5.
Exactly. Compromise is rooted in scarcity. Synergy is rooted in abundance. Synergy says, let's not settle for your way or my way. Let's look for a third alternative.
A third alternative.
A solution that is not a middle ground, but a higher ground. A solution that is better than what either of us originally brought to the table.
The source gives some great practical examples of this. Imagine two business leaders running a company. One is an operations person entirely focused on speed, efficiency, and getting the product out the door to meet quotas.
Okay.
The other is a quality control fanatic entirely focused on making sure there are absolutely zero defects, even if it takes longer. If they operate in win-lose, they fight, the culture turns toxic, and the company stalls.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
If they compromise, they tell the operations guy to slow down a bit and the quality guy to lower his standards a bit. They get a product that is medium fast and medium quality. Nobody wins, and the market beats them.
But if they synergize,
If they truly value each other's perspective, empathize with each other's goals, and brainstorm without ego, they might invest in a completely new, automated manufacturing technology that is both significantly faster and higher quality than anything either of them could have achieved on their own. That is the third alternative.
there is also a more intimate personal example given. A husband and wife are arguing over a vacation.
Oh, vacations are prime territory for this.
Definitely. The husband desperately wants to go to the mountains, to camp and fish, to get away from the city. The wife wants to go to a coastal city to visit her ailing mother and enjoy the culture.
So what's a compromise?
A compromise might mean spending half the week in the mountains and half the week in the city, resulting in a ton of stressful driving, a short visit with the mother, and a rushed camping trip.
Which sounds miserable.
But synergy means they keep digging for a third alternative. They discuss the underlying needs. He needs relaxation in nature. She needs to see her mom.
So what do they find?
They find a beautiful, quiet state park with a lake that happens to be just 20 miles from the mother's city. He gets to fish in peace. She gets to spend quality time with her mom. And they are both happier than their original plans.
Even nature operates on this principle of synergy. Think about the relationship between bees and flowers. The bee needs the nectar for food. The flower needs the bee for pollination to reproduce.
They are completely different entities.
But by interacting, they don't just survive, they create a thriving ecosystem where life blooms everywhere.
This raises a profoundly important question about how we view the people around us. Often, we're annoyed by people who think differently than we do.
Oh, for sure.
But if two people think exactly the same way, one of them is entirely unnecessary. Synergy demands that we stop merely tolerating differences and start actively valuing them. The friction of different viewpoints, when handled with empathic listening, is the literal spark of innovation.
But the warning given here is crucial. Synergy is the highest activity in all of life, but it is also incredibly fragile.
Very fragile. Synergy dies the very instant ego enters the room.
It dies when people start fighting to be right instead of working together to be better.
It requires an immense amount of inner security, that private victory from habits 1, 2, and 3, to be able to let go of your original idea, admit you don't have all the answers, and trust the synergistic process with another human being.
Okay, let's take a breath. We've climbed the mountain. We've gone from dependent, reactive victims to proactive individuals with a clear vision and the discipline to execute it.
Right.
We've learned to think win-win, listen deeply to provide psychological oxygen, and create massive synergy with others. But here's the brutal truth. If you stop there, you are going to burn out.
You definitely will.
To sustain this incredible high level of interdependent success over a lifetime, you have to protect and maintain your greatest asset. And your greatest asset is yourself. That brings us to habit 7, sharpen the saw, the engine of renewal.
This final habit is illustrated with a very famous intuitive story. Imagine you are walking through the woods and you see a woodcutter frantically, desperately sawing down a large tree.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
He is completely exhausted, covered in sweat, muscles aching, but making very little progress. You walk up to him and ask, "How long have you been doing this?" He pants and says, "5 hours and I'm exhausted."
Naturally.
You look at his tool and say, "Well, your saw is completely dull. It's practically flat. Why don't you take a break for 5 minutes and sharpen your saw?" And the woodcutter replies angrily, "I can't. I'm too busy sawing."
It sounds ridiculous, but we do that every single day. We are too busy grinding at work, too busy stressing out over our kids, too busy trying to keep up with life to take the time to renew the very instrument that is doing all the work.
We are too busy driving to stop for gas.
Exactly. We try to drive a car thousands of miles without ever stopping for an oil change because we are too busy driving. This necessary renewal is broken down into 4 distinct dimensions that we have to actively, constantly maintain to keep the saw sharp.
The first dimension is the body. This is your physical engine. It means eating nutritious food, exercising regularly to build endurance and strength, and getting enough sleep to let your brain repair.
If your physical body breaks down, your ability to execute the other 6 habits completely collapses.
You can't listen empathetically if you are running on 3 hours of sleep and massive amounts of cortisol.
The second dimension is the mind. This is your tool for creating and understanding. We are advised to read heavily, to learn continuously, to write, and to absolutely stop the mindless scrolling that atrophies our attention span.
There is a great quote related to this. "Live out of your imagination, not your memory." You have to keep feeding your brain new, challenging inputs to keep it sharp and capable of visualizing that habit 2 blueprint.
The third dimension is the heart. This is the emotional and social dimension of renewal. It's about building deep connections, spending intentional, joyful time with loved ones, serving your community, and actively nurturing those win-win relationships without an agenda.
And the fourth dimension is the spirit. This is the deepest part of you, the source of your core meaning. Whether that is through prayer, meditation, spending quiet time in nature, listening to great music, or reading great literature.
It's whatever connects you back to your core principles and reminds you of your personal mission statement.
What's fascinating from a systems perspective is how Habit 7 fundamentally changes the geometry of the entire framework. Because of Habit 7, the maturity continuum isn't just a straight, flat line from dependence to interdependence that you finish and walk away from.
It becomes a continuous upward spiral.
By constantly sharpening the saw across those 4 dimensions, you increase your physical and mental capacity to be proactive. You increase your emotional capacity to listen deeply. You're constantly growing stronger, allowing you to practice the other 6 habits at a higher, more sophisticated level on each rotation.
But the inverse is also true. If you neglect Habit 7, if you stop exercising, stop reading, stop connecting, the whole chain loses its strength. You burn out, you get defensive, you revert to reactivity, and the synergy you built completely dies.
Exactly. Habit 7 is the engine of continuous, lifelong growth. It is the ultimate quadrant 2 activity.
So as we wrap up this incredible, dense journey, let's synthesize what this all actually means for you, the listener. The ultimate lesson here is that true, lasting effectiveness is not an accident.
It is not an accident of birth, it is not genetic luck, and it is certainly not about finding the perfect, frictionless life hack.
Good habits create success. Bad habits create failure. By internalizing and integrating these 7 habits, you are committing to a conscious evolution. You are moving from being a reactive, dependent victim of your circumstances to becoming a highly proactive, independent creator of your own life design, capable of building magnificent, synergistic relationships.
And the call to action from this framework is clear and urgent. Do not wait for the perfect time. The perfect time does not exist. Choose just one habit. Be proactive today by focusing only on your circle of influence. Or focus on sharpening your saw this afternoon by taking a walk without your phone. Start small, but start the upward spiral today.
Now, before we sign off, we always like to leave you with a final provocative thought. Something that builds on the material we've discussed, but pushes the boundaries a bit. Something for you to mull over as you go about your week.
The source tells us that the character ethic relies on timeless, shared principles. Things like fairness, honesty, and integrity to build trust, to communicate empathetically, and to eventually achieve the ultimate goal of synergy. But here's the difficult question we have to ask ourselves today. What happens in a highly polarized, fractured modern world where people no longer agree on the basic definitions of those very principles?
It's a great question.
If my fundamental, deeply held definition of fairness or justice completely contradicts your definition, is the third alternative of synergy still mathematically possible? Or, in a society that lacks a shared moral foundation, are we doomed to constantly accept no deal?
That is a heavy, incredible question to chew on. Can synergy survive without shared roots? But whether you are trying to build synergy across a deeply divided culture, or whether you are just trying to manage your own chaotic schedule a little bit better tomorrow morning, remember this: the quick fixes, the hacks, the manipulations, they are just flowers in a vase without roots.
They will die when the heat turns up.
Real, unbreakable growth happens beneath the surface. So thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Go out there, take the wheel, take control of your habits, and design the life you actually want to live.